So I went and got more apples, but the price was good. They were free. Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kathryn, the Aerogarden Homesteader, and today I am going to be canning up apple pieces. This is something I have never actually tried before, and I really want to give it a try because we don't really eat apple pie, so it would be nice to find another way to save up apples. I have 10 pounds of apples, so the recipe suggested I should do 1.25 pounds per pint jar. And my canner holds 8 pint jars, so I am going to do 10 pounds of apples. We'll see how this goes. If I have extra, that's fine. I'm going to give them a quick peel. These have not been washed, mostly because I'm peeling them, so kind of doesn't matter. I will go through and get a bunch peeled, then I will core them, cut them in half so that I have smaller pieces, and then get them in, so I have a gallon of water there with fruit fresh in it, just to prevent browning while I'm doing the rest of the apples. And again, if you want to save the peels to make like a fruit peel jelly, it's a great thing to do. And I did it a couple of times, but kind of gets to the point where if I'm the only one eating something and it just lingers on the shelf for a long time, there's not much point in doing it, continuing to accumulate it. I will obviously have to come through and peel off a little bit of the extra stuff, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to plow through these 10 pounds of apples, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg. The apples were free. There was an orchard that was giving away apples. These particular apples are Cosmic Crisp, which was, interestingly enough, developed in the area. So we like them. They actually freeze dry really well. And I am hoping they will can up really well. It did say in the sort of the recipe I was looking at, there's a whole bunch of recipes online, but it did suggest that Honeycrisp are really good for canning, and this is a Honeycrisp variant. So I am hoping this will turn out well. Now I did get lots of apples, so I am hoping I can do some apple juice. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully that will happen. Oops. I'm just going to make a big mess. Okay, well, I don't know what else there is to see or do, so I might just skip ahead for this part. In my pot, I have about a gallon of water, and I put in about 2 tablespoons of fruit fresh. I could not find instructions anywhere for how much fruit fresh to put in a large volume of water, so I kind of just guessed, and I'm hoping it's the right amount. Okay, so all of the apples have been dealt with. I am going to drain them really well, and then I am going to just make my sugar syrup right in here. I'm going to go with a somewhere between light and extra light. So this is for 8 quarts, but the sugar is for a pint. This is for 8 pints. The sugar syrup recipe is for 9 pints, so instead of using 6.5 cups of water, I'm just going to use 6 cups of water, but I'm going to stick with the 3/4 cup of sugar. But I need to get all of this, rinse the soaking water off, and build my syrup. Okay, I got 6 cups of water. I'm going to put in 3/4 cup of sugar, and bring this up to a boil, then add the apples. I will need to boil the apples for 5 minutes. Now there is no raw pack method for this because apparently if you raw pack it, the quality of the apples is poor, is what Ball said in their instructions. So I guess the apples don't hold their shape as well as if you blanch them and then can them. So we will be doing hot pack for this. Need bigger spoons. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now that I'm up to a sort of a low boil, I'm going to add my apples carefully. Then I need to boil this for 5 minutes, stirring gently. Gently with I think my wooden spoon will be a little more gentle than the metal spoon. Okay, now that my 5 minutes are up, I am going to move this over to my sort of canning station, i.e. the cutting board. My jars have been heating, so all I need to do is fill them up to a 1/2 inch headspace. Now I do want to make sure the apples will be covered with liquid so I can prevent some of the browning that sometimes happens with things that are sticking out of the liquid. It does help to shake it up and down, and it does help to jiggle it because it'll help the apples settle in a little bit better so you get smaller voids. Ideally I'd put my hand on top and shake it, but it's a little hot. Might be able to get one more in there. Kind of have my doubts that all of these apples will fit in 8 pints, but I guess we'll find out. So this is approximately how much liquid I had left, so this was the perfect amount for 10 pounds of apples. Unfortunately, it did not make 8 pints. I got a little bit more than that, which I guess is a good thing. So I had to upgrade to my steam canner. This will go for 20 minutes. I do think there is an altitude adjustment for that, but mine is going to be 20 minutes, and I believe that the quarts and pints were the same time. I will double check that, and I will put a note up on the screen if the information is different. I will also link the recipe below, so definitely check that out. I wanted to show you how the canned apples in syrup turned out. So they are soft, but they're not complete mush, and it's really hard to describe like the texture on camera because you can't really give feedback, but it does require a little bit of effort to crush the apple. It's not applesauce. This turned out really well. I would probably increase, I don't think the extra light syrup was heavy enough, if that makes sense. I think next time I would probably increase the sugar syrup a little bit. So I think I used an extra light. It was somewhere between the extra light and light. It was very light. The apples are pretty sweet on their own, but I think they could have stood to use slightly more sugar. That way I don't feel like the apple flavor washes out into the syrup, you know, the sugar syrup. These were really good. So Cosmic Crisp apples hold up very well. There is a little resistance to it, but they are soft. It is obviously a cooked apple. I would definitely do this again. I think that it was good for eating. You know, I could turn this into apple pie filling if I really wanted to. I could puree this up, turn it into applesauce. I feel like there's a lot of uses for this. I could turn this into fruit leathers, many things. So even stewed apples. I'm kind of excited about this because it's another way for me to preserve up apples and have them on my shelf. I believe the Honeycrisp would have yielded the same results. This is a Cosmic Crisp. They are from the same family, and this held up really well. Now, you would have to, your mileage may vary with other apple types, so definitely try to find an apple that holds up under cooking conditions and doesn't, you know, you don't want to use an applesauce apple. Those ones will fall apart, but this was really good. So, in the end, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will have some other recipes or videos up at the end that you might enjoy, and I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.